Hello, hello. Hey, this is Rosa, your friend in real estate. Hey, just reaching out for you here today. I've been receiving a lot of questions about what should we do with deposits? How should deposits be handled in real estate transactions? A lot of people have asked me, well, how much money should I give when I'm making an offer? Or some sellers have asked me, hey, how much money should I expect to get from a seller or from a buyer when I'm selling my property when for a deposit? And so this is a topic that comes up quite often. And so I figured, you know what? Real estate education series today, let's talk about deposits. And if you have questions, I think I'm pretty much able to see them here for the most part. Drop me a comment and we'll try to answer your question right here during the broadcast, live coming at you, Rob Rosa, or you can drop me a comment and I'll take a look at it and try to answer you personally. At the same time, feel free to visit smartreadvice.com to get more helpful real estate info. This is where I'm keeping the videos of this real estate education series. So let's talk about deposit money and so forth. Number one, how much money should you give for a deposit? You know, now there is a certain amount of people that will say, oh, you need to give the least amount possible. You know, don't give too much money when you are buying a particular property because that money is at risk. And you know what? It is maybe at risk depending. First of all, hopefully you have an awesome real estate agent on your team that's going to help you protect that money and stay on top of the dates and the contingencies. And you have an excellent attorney that's going to, again, help you stay on top of those dates and understand your pros and cons and your the risk to that. So I do have people say, oh, well, I like to make an offer and I just want to give them $100 and that's it. Or I'm just going to give them $500. In fact, I had a buyer a couple years ago. We're not naming names here. We're keeping confidentiality, right? But I did have a buyer. They wanted to buy a $300,000 home and they want to give $500 for deposit. And I explained to them, well, how serious do you think that buyer, how serious do you think that seller is going to take your offer for a $300,000 house with only $500 down? At the same time, I have an investor gentleman that one of the things that he's done in the past, and I can tell you it works. So here are the tips. Here's the information that you want to know to be able to be more effective in your real estate transactions. He'll buy a fixer-upper home in cash, of course, but these homes might be going for $70, $80, $90, $110,000, give or take. And you know what he'll do? We'll find out, hey, we're in a multiple offer situation. We'll find out there's 7, 9, 12 other offers. And he'll say, okay, write up the offer, $50,000 cash, and I'll give you the other $50,000 in 2 days. And people are like, what are you talking about? Are you kidding me? We can't do it like that. Well, guess what? He does do it like that. See, I'm giving you some secrets here. I'm not just coating the surface, right? He does do it like that. He gives $50,000, $60,000, $70,000. He gives 60, 70, 80% of the purchase price with a check ready to be cashed, maybe a money order, bank check, and tells the person, hey, I'll close in a week. I'll close in 2 weeks. All I need to do is have my attorney get the paperwork ready. Right? And do you think he gets every single offer? No. But does he get some? Does it give him the edge in comparison to other buyers out there? Yes, it does. Does it make me as his real estate agent sometimes just a little bit nervous? Yes, it does. But what do? As his real estate broker, I'm looking out for him 10,000%, and I get his attorney involved right away. And his attorney is right on point and says, okay, Rob, we know what we're doing here. We got it. We've done it before. Let's keep on moving forward. And so this might be something, if you're looking to do some investment properties and you're looking to get some fixer-uppers and you have the cash, great. If not, you have to think about it this way from a buyer standpoint. You're going up against other buyers. I can tell you right now, even before this wonderful quarantine started, we were starting to move in a direction where there were a lot of multiple offer situations. And I'm talking about a lot. And this was just the beginning of the springtime. Hopefully you like my mug. Gonna take a quick sip. Got that as a winning gift from my wife over in Hampton Beach. But we're getting in a multiple offer situation, right? And so this whole thing happens. So what do you think's probably, now again, I'm not Nostradamus, all right? I can't look into the crystal ball and see the future, right? But I can tell you, I think there are a lot of people kind of putting things on hold right now. And when things start up, boom, we're going to be out there left and right, still looking out to stay safe and healthy and watching out for everybody. But people are going to be wanting to look at some homes. And we're going to have a lot of multiple offer situations. And if I have someone where they're making an offer on a house and they're willing to put down a $10,000, $15,000, $20,000 escrow deposit, what do you think my seller is going to look at? Even if it's the same price, maybe if it's a couple $1,000s less than somebody else, but the other person wants to put down $1,500 deposit. The other person wants to put down a $20,000 deposit. Huge difference there, right? A huge feeling of what feels most comfortable to that seller. Because on the seller's end of things, so we talked about the buyer, and sometimes putting down that higher deposit will give you a better chance of getting the offer. On the seller's standpoint, do you want to accept an offer and move all your stuff? Now, I'm telling you, everything under the sun has already happened, right? Do you think that there are people who have loaded up the furniture truck, the moving truck, put all their furniture in it, their boxes, their this, their that? Maybe it's heading down the other side of the state because that's where they're moving. And all of a sudden, that buyer can't close. And maybe that buyer only gave the seller $1,500 deposit, escrow money. Well, really, if it's because of the buyer's inability, and it's a last minute thing and it was something that they did wrong, like for instance, they ruined their credit or whatever it might be, and the mortgage contingency date has passed, again, talk to an attorney. I'm not an attorney. But there are instances where that buyer can lose that deposit and it does rightfully belong to the seller. Well, if the seller was moving all their stuff and now they're getting $1,500, it doesn't even make up for their moving costs a lot of times, right? So as a seller, you want to expect to get a high deposit as well. It's just the right thing to do when everybody is working in sincerity. Right now, some people don't have that money, and that's understandable, and that's fine. And I've had closings, believe it or not, where somebody put down $100 deposit, and we've had closings. So let's talk about the next step. Number one, when someone is making an offer, technically that check, that money should be in their agent's hand. I can't tell you how aggravating it is where we're trying to get people together, trying to get people to work together. And what happens? We finally get a contract signed, and now we're waiting and we're waiting and we're waiting on the deposit check. Is that fair to the seller? Right? Probably not. And it kind of puts everybody on hold and puts everybody in a little anxious position. Like, is this contract for real? Is this buyer for real? Right? And again, leave me some comments, leave me some questions. I see a couple of posts here, but I'm going to try to get to some of those questions as we have the discussion. Generally speaking, in Connecticut, when we do have that transaction get executed with a signed purchase and sale agreement, that deposit money goes to the seller's real estate broker. Now, it doesn't have to, there's not a law in place. That's generally where it goes though, right? And so that real estate broker is supposed to make that deposit within 3 days of obtaining all signatures from all parties to the transaction. That's right from the Connecticut Real Estate Contracts, Principles, and Practices. Within 3 days, right? Three, right? We have to make sure we get that. So if you want to start a transaction smooth, make it nice for both parties, have that money ready. Okay, it's only going to make it easier for when you're negotiating on other items. You might be negotiating when it comes to inspection items. You might be asking for a little bit more time on the mortgage. You might be asking for an appraisal adjustment. And if you're looking for those sorts of things, but you started off on the wrong foot with the seller and made them wait like 7 days for the deposit, seller might not trust you so much, right? So let's work together and make those things happen. Now, where does the interest go on that money? Here's the story. Interest earned on real estate broker accounts is paid to the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority to benefit a program for the first-time home buyers. So that's pretty cool because we are out there trying to work together, first-time home buyers, helping them out and so forth. But it depends upon what? The purchase and sale agreement. I haven't had it happen very often. Maybe it's happened out of my 19 years in real estate. Maybe it's happened 3 times where the buyer's like, I want to get my interest on that money. Or the seller's like, well, I should really get the interest on that money and so forth. So it can be written up that way. I can tell you though, the interest is not going to be very high. I don't remember exactly how much the interest is. And, I think we have to look it up with the Connecticut Department of Banking. But I mean, on average, if you were to make like $3, $4, if that from it, you're talking hopefully having a closing within 6, 7, 8 weeks. I don't even think you'll make a couple of dollars. So it's not a lot. But what it does is think about the thousands of real estate transactions we have here in Connecticut on a yearly basis. All those pennies start adding up. Go to the Connecticut Housing Finance Authority, and it does help out a lot of first-time home buyers. So I think that is definitely a nice thing. All right. So there's probably a lot of questions that you still might have about deposits, about escrow. Just know you as the buyer want to put yourself in a position where you can get that offer signed. You want to move forward in your life. So does it make a huge difference if you're working sincerely? Does it make a huge difference to put down a few more $1,000s if you have it? Probably not. If you're the seller, be looking to get that money to cover any potential costs or issues because you want to work with buyers who are strong, right? You want to put yourself in a position where you're not going to have to be stressing it. Oh my gosh, is the buyer going to be able to close? I shouldn't have done this for only $500. It's not fair to me. And, we try to help guide you and give you recommendations, but you as the client, especially when it comes to me and my team, you as the client are the boss. We'll give you the pros and the cons of what we know. We'll put you in touch, hopefully with your attorney and have discussions with them and make sure that everything's good. But you are the boss and you're ultimately going to be responsible for that decision you make. You know that the money is going to be held in a brokerage escrow account. Now, usually that money can only be moved if number 1, there's a real estate closing, right? Number 2, there's an agreement by both parties. So the buyer and seller agree to split it. The seller agrees to give it back to the buyer. The buyer agrees to let the seller keep it. Or number 3, there's a court order. So again, I'm not an attorney. Who knows? Maybe there's a number 4, but I don't know of a number 4 off the top of my head. Number 1, we get that real estate closing happening. Number 2, both parties agree. And number 3, what is it? Court order, which we don't want to talk about that stuff. That usually never happens. Usually, at least with my transactions, we're able to work things out, right? And lastly, it all depends on what it says in the purchase and sale agreement. There's going to be contingencies hopefully in place for you as the buyer, where you're going to have an inspection contingency, and we'll have another real estate educational series on that. You might have mortgage contingencies, appraisal contingencies. There's all different things that we can do to help protect you. So here we are today. I wanted to just give you a quick educational series on deposit money, escrow accounts. Hopefully you are having an amazing start to an amazing weekend. Do the best you can, keep smiling, and I want you to know that you definitely matter, okay? If you're at home alone, just know that there's other people thinking about you, right? And that they're staying home because they love you, right? We want to keep everybody safe and healthy as much as possible. We've all had this touch us with different family members, and it is a very sad thing, but we're going to thank God for everything that we have, that we even have the ability to meet up with each other today and talk a little bit. Drop me questions. You're more than welcome to. And visit smartreadvice.com. Subscribe to my YouTube channel, and you will be able to get more of these real estate educational series. I hope you're having a great day, and God bless you. Rob Rosa signing out. Thank you.